Hey, just wanted to do a little combo video. I've made and maxed two weapons that I would normally never make in max. They currently have very limited or no niche. They've been outclassed severely. And those would be my number 4 and 6 in the hotbar, the porcupine. Beautiful weapon, truly gorgeous. And the bang spear, yes. These weapons are just kind of sad. So, I'll explain why. Normally, spear, it operates in this kind of mid-range, right? Like, oh yeah, I can just, you know. Okay, I'm amazing. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can have this sort of, what is it? Mid-range dominance, throw the spear. It's really fast most of the time. Like, it's gonna be your fastest mid-range option over bows. It's like, yeah, I have that. And the problem is, once you get to decent bow skills, that no longer becomes the case. And you also start to have a bunch of different arrow types that you could use, and it just sort of gets outclassed, especially when you get frost arrows. Not only that, but it gets outclassed in melee too. It's severely outclassed by the gear. Okay, I'm so good. Hi. But yeah, it's just sad, very stamina heavy, considering it's mostly reactive at the highest level, which right now is plains. But maybe there'll be a use for it in the Mistlands, yeah? Maybe. Now, the porcupine, some people are like, oh my god, it's got so much damage. It has the same damage as the black metal sword, but more knocked back. So it's not as good for DPS. That seems really good until you realize that if I snuck up and did a black metal knife middle mouse on it, it would have just almost died. Push the at gear, poke it once, there you go. Yeah, it's like, as good as the porcupine seems, the usability of it is sort of obfuscating how sort of like outclassed in every way it is by other weapons. So if you want control, Frostner, black metal at gear. If you want big damage, DPS, black metal sword. See? Because that, I had to do a little run up, hit him, and it just does not have the same poke combo potential as black metal at gear with the swiftness, or the sword swiftness with a 1-2 slash because of the knockback. Now, how are these weapons going to be made, well, decent? Because you look at how I treated locks with them, but now we're gonna look at black metal at gear. You can see that there's a stark difference. I'm really bad this morning, but still, stark difference in the way that we can just dominate these creatures. Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Proactive, they don't get a chance. I'm gonna go sneak up on this one. Kind of. Not really. Yeah, even with low stamina, the ad gear is obscene. It's obscene. And it sort of outclasses the Fang Spear and the Porcupine in what could be their only niche. Oh, come here. A bad example because he was up against a rock. But yeah, 2 pokes, that's all it takes. Instead of poke, run up, poke. And then if I have to poke, run up, poke, I'm just going to smack middle mouse. It's much better control and proactive control, especially on starred fullings. And it's a much smoother, I guess, like, domination in fulling camps, especially because really when there's a bunch on you, you can just smack and then ignore that guy as he's really slow, and then smack another guy, get the combo on him, depending on who's more dangerous. Maybe you got piercing guys to deal with if you're in full Fenris, so you go deal with the piercing guy, or you smack one guy who's close to you and then you go deal with the piercing guy, or you have root harness on like me, and you just want to deal with the fire guys. It's okay, you smack the one guy, and then you deal with the what is it? You deal with the fire guy. Yeah, the control is too good. The Frostner, I feel like I've already made several videos on it, but it just has more utility than the Porcupine right now. But that could change. All of this could change in the Mistlands, so I'm really recommending to make the Fang Spear and the Porcupine and max them out. Max them out. I got quality 4, quality 4. And yeah, it's just versus locks. Fang Spear can get pretty damn good stagger locking. I mean, you saw I was dealing like 112 per hit. Pretty good. I mean, the Porcupine's getting more hits in, but that third hit leaves you pretty vulnerable most of the time versus like a locks. What are you doing? Why, how have you not seen me? Versus like the speed, like let's test this out, right? So if I attack, hold this down, and then I hold down the block button, you know, right click, and let go, it's really fast. It is like really fast. And then we go Porcupine, it's a little slower. And that makes all the difference, because there are these enemies like Locks, Falling Berserker, that will recover from stagger a little faster than normal enemies. And you kind of have to work around that. And the Porcupine doesn't really work around it. The Frostner does. The Fang Spear does. Versus Locks and all of them. Now, that's still not as good as just proactively taking out the enemies. It is just not as good at all. So, the Black Metal at gear outclasses the Fang Spear. And the Fang Spear, at least versus like Locks, outclasses Porcupine. And so I know you're asking me why, like what situation? What enemy, how would these two weapons that are outclassed right now be useful in the Mistlands? And the truth is, I don't know. But I can think. I can make some hypothetical enemies. So, let's say, like in multiplayer, you're going up against the locks. Normally in single player, you can parry them with the black metal lacquer. That's great. Multiplayer, you got the difficulty slider. The enemies are harder. They hit harder, which means you need better block and parry value in order to parry them. So, in single player, you can parry a locks with a black metal lacquer, no problem. In multiplayer, more of an issue. In which case, you need the black metal shield. But, where is the weapon of choice that does that? What I just did to that locks. Where is the one-handed option? And the answer is, in multiplayer, the best option is, well, the Frostner. Because then your friends, while the locks is slow, can take the good old black metal lacquer, the locks is flank. And then, it's over. It's all over. You've done your setup, you've done what you need, you've done your little tanking. It's done. However, if there was an enemy that wasn't blunt resistant, that was big chunky, that also didn't have pierce resistance, but had every other resistance, like slash, let's say. So it has slash resistance, no blunt resistance, no pierce resistance. Somehow. And you needed to parry it in multiplayer or single player because it was just too damn strong for the black metal lacquer. Well then there you go. There's your porcupine use case. Is it the most good, like, neat way of making the porcupine good? No. No. In fact, I would rather have some type of shield buff, like unique shield buff. Like, I know that they have something that's cool on the Serpent Scale Shield that's kind of outclassed right now, but just by the Root Harnesk. But having that precedent for buffs on shields, I think there could be unique buffs on shields that would make the Fang Spear or the Porcupine good. I think having something that would alter the moveset would be really good. I mentioned that in my like tower shield fix. That would be pretty good. But yeah, right now it's just they move slightly out of the way and it's, oh boy. Yeah. Thanks. Spears are sad. Porcupine's sad. It's very possible that they could be less sad. You know, they don't even necessarily have to buff it. Just make enemies or items that would make them very good. Or the best in some situations. That would do it. That's all it needs. All you need is like one enemy per. And now you got me using the spear and the porcupine. Boom, done. Will this happen? I don't know. I have no idea. I hope so. I have no idea.